But let's take a breath. Each breath, we're drawing in new energy, we're releasing out old, trying to create balance in our being. So just start to pay attention to the breath. Maybe let it be a little bit deeper. So especially if we're kind of running around to get settled in, or it's been a busy day. Just trying to let that go. So no matter what our day's like, there's always some amount of stress that filters in. So we're going to try to release that out with the exhales. See if you can really soften your eyes here. And try to take note of how you are. How you're feeling physically. And how you're feeling emotionally. And so you can name those different sensations if you like. And then take another deeper breath. So we're trying to just acknowledge however we're feeling. So on the difficult days, we just want to keep breathing and remind ourselves that the hard days pass. Just recently, I've just had days where I'm just like really not in a great place, and luckily those days have passed. So some days I have found that just acknowledging that and just noticing, like, okay, what are these physical sensations? Like all this nausea sort of in my gut, just fear and stress and stuff in my being. And just by naming that, being conscious of it, so that's mindfulness, has been really helpful for me. It's sort of, I don't know, you're not even trying to really let it go, you're just witnessing it, and somehow in there, just the consciousness of what it is that you're feeling, which isn't always so easy to do, I have found to be helpful. So we're not trying to deny that, right? Some days are hard and there's things about life that are difficult. All right, so a little more breathing here. Let's circle our shoulders first. So I think especially, in the modern era where we've got all these images that are constantly coming at us of, we see this one dimension of somebody's life that looks like their life is happy and perfect. And obviously everyone has problems, but when we're always just, seeing all those images of other people's lives and them talking about happy stuff and not talking about the things that are hard, we can, I think, feel a little more isolated. So I think it's important just to, notice when we're having a hard day, acknowledge it, and know that you're not the only one. So yeah, I've had some days lately where I'm just like on the couch, like really wondering how I'm gonna get through. So looking for people that you can talk to, listening to meditation, just reaching out. Sometimes is the great thing about the virtual world is you don't always have to be, like I can be on my couch watching some kind of live presentation and not have to be dressed and showered and all that stuff. And there's something about that live interaction, I think, that can be very helpful. Again, even if you're not on video. All right, let's bring arms up overhead. We're going to take hold of the right wrist and we're going to bend a little bit to the left side. And everybody is different. We're all unique. So we can also, in our yoga practices, we can get into this place of like, I can't do that. I can't go that far. It's not about that. Just really exploring what's working for you. How does this feel for you? How does it feel? All right, so hold on to your left wrist, try to bend to the right side. So how is this? Just having this sense of curiosity about, how does this feel for me? Is there some little subtle shift that I can make that will change, maybe improve what I'm feeling here? I'm getting into a better spot, maybe something that needs to loosen up. All right, coming back up, hands behind you, interlace fingers. Pull hands down towards the floor and just lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath. Release it out. And then bring your arms up overhead. Hands touch. So if you haven't used the Insight Timer app yet, free app, you can watch a lot of live meditations on there. Can't always find something that really hits the right spot, but some nights it's just there's somebody who plays music that's really that have found really helpful. So you can find all kinds of nice live things on there. And again, there's no camera on your side; it's just a one-way video. You can type notes in there. You can do a little chat. So if you feel like you need some of that kind of connection, Insight Timer is a good place to go. All right, so we're gonna do a box breathing. So we're gonna do an inhale to the count of 6. So we're just trying to inhale to a count of 6. We're gonna hold for a count of 2, exhale to a count of 4. So it's a little bit of a faster, like exhale than it is the inhale. The inhale is a little bit slower because you're counting to 6. But then once we exhale to 4, we're gonna hold for 2 counts, and we're gonna inhale to 6 and hold for 2. I'm gonna try to count them out on my fingers because I always lose track. All right, so inhaling. Hold for 2. Exhale for 4. Hold for 2. Inhale to 6. Hold for 2. Exhale to 4. Hold for 2. Inhale to a count of 6. Hold. Exhale to 4. Hold for 2. Just keep going. All right, so when you finish that next exhale, just let it go. Maybe take a big deep breath. Observe how you are. Then we're going to try to reverse it. So we're going to try to inhale to a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale to a count of 6, hold for 2. So inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6, hold 2. All right, so after your next exhale, or after you hold after that next exhale, and let it go. Once again, observing how you are. So it's like the natural thing. For me, it's like always that deeper breath is kind of the natural thing that happens after that. I shouldn't say always, often. All right, and then just notice how you are. So I should have said at the beginning, sometimes for me the breathing can be, those controlled breathing patterns can be a little bit stressful. I think probably because I have asthma. I think sometimes there's just like all that attention on the breath doesn't always sit well with me. So you just want to be mindful of, with all parts of your yoga practice, what's working for you, what's not working for you. So again, just this sort of sense of curiosity about what's going to work. Okay, come on up to standing. Let's start to work on our feet a little bit. So kind of building from the ground up. So just come on up. I usually do hands on my hips here. Feet lined up, and just take your right foot back. We're going to press the bottoms of the toes. Whoops. All right, trying to do it a little more balanced than I am. Ooh. All right, toes down, heel up, and just give that nice little pressure down on your toes. My feet have been really tight lately. My everything's been really tight lately. Legs, back, everything. All right, so let that heel drop down and then roll back up. And then you can roll a little bit from side to side. So again, you're just exploring. How does this work for you? How's your foot feeling here? And finally, lately, if I do this, then my feet just feel so good afterwards. Again, we're just going through our day. We're focusing on other things. We're not always conscious of what's going on in all these little parts of the body. All right, so flip over. Come onto the tops of the toes. So with the tops down, I like to change my foot positioning a little bit. So I like to bring the foot in close to the standing foot and get a sense of what's happening there. I'm breathing. So again, we're trying to release all this stress and tension we carry in our bodies. So keeping that breath going. And then I like to take the foot back a little bit farther, which I feel like for me shifts to what I'm feeling right in that arch of the foot as well as in the front of the ankle. I feel like I can get a little deeper stretch to the front of the ankle there. And these are just the things we keep playing with in yoga is just, okay, if I change a little bit, if I just shift where that foot is a little bit, what happens in all those spots. And then come back to the bottoms of your toes, heel up, push those toes down. Again, wherever you feel like you want that. And then we're just going to shake, we're going to wiggle, we're going to circle that ankle around a little bit. So these ankles also get really tight when we're wearing shoes. And we're at work, sitting still all day, we're not moving our ankles. All right, and then you're just going to take your left foot back. I'm just turning around, you don't need to. We're just going to set that left foot back. So heel up, toes down, especially if that's tight, right? Nice big breath. That little pressure down. So here you're going to stretch out really the whole bottom of the foot. And you can let that heel drop down and rock back up and maybe wiggle a little bit from side to side. And then we're going to flip over onto the tops of the toes. Again, play with where you want that foot placed. You can do it in a couple of different spots. So each day may be a little bit different. So you may find your spots and then it may shift a little bit. All right, so especially once we start to stretch things out a bit, and then, we may need to change a little bit what we're doing in our positioning. And then come back onto the bottoms of the toes, heel up, nice little pressure down. Are you feeling it? I'm feeling that. I'm feeling a whole lot of stress releasing out of my whole body here, just by stretching out the feet. All right, and then we're gonna circle ankles, wiggle toes, shake it out. All right, let's do a wide leg fold. So we're gonna take the feet out wide, about one leg's length apart. So again, you want to pay attention. Some days this is not good for my back. Other days it feels amazing. So ease your way in from your hips. You might stay halfway. You might keep the knees bent. You can do arms, right? So it's kind of like a half forward fold, half squat kind of position here with arms on your thighs with the knees bent. And you may take your time. Maybe you're going to stop a couple places along the way. So if you have trouble in downward facing dog, but you're able to get your hands on the floor here, You may be able to bring your hands a little bit forward. So you get that stretch through your back. Get that spine nice and long without all of the weight on your wrists and your elbows and your shoulders. So just making it your own. You can turn so especially if you got your arms a little bit forward, you can turn your elbows out a little bit so your shoulders shift. And then ease your way back up. Come all the way up. Bring your arms up overhead. So just lengthening the spine up. Arms reach up. Good. And then we're going to take it into an extended side angle. So turn your right foot straight out. And look at where your foot is. Try to line it up so your foot's pointing to the short edge of the mat. And then you're going to bend your knee. And then where's your knee? So how's your foot? Sometimes you just need to do this little shifting of your toes or your heel so that that knee is really, I'm going to call it square. So it's not leaning to one side or the other. Sometimes it's the tiniest little bit of a shift can make your knee much happier, especially if you have knee trouble. All right, so that back foot, we're going to let those back toes turn towards the front foot. Drop your tailbone down. Bring your arms on up. And then what happened to your shoulders? Did they come up with your arms? See if you can let those shoulders drop down. Maybe let your arms come down a little bit lower here. All right, let's just wiggle fingers, making fists here. We're gonna rotate the wrists around while we're here. Just move them any which way that feels good. So yeah, palms up, bringing fingers in towards your head. That might feel good. All right, and then into an extended side angle. Resting that right hand or that right lower arm on the thigh. And so then what's happening? Are you turning down towards the floor? We want to turn out away from the floor. So this bottom hip starts to push a little bit farther forward. The top hip starts to pull back. As though those hips were almost stacked on top of one another. That kind of sensation. Good. And then the left arm can come up. You might sweep it forward and out past your head to get past your head. And then again, what happened, Dirk? Did you look down there? Start to turn away, trying to take that top shoulder blade backward. Good. And then we're gonna fold over right leg. So start to look down towards your right toes. Let your left hand come down. If it doesn't reach, if this leg is tight, just start to straighten the leg a little bit. Maybe you're still gonna lean on it with your right arm. If you're able to get one or both hands down to the floor, they can drop down. And then you can either keep that back foot turned out, or you can pivot it so that both feet are pretty much pointing towards that short edge of the mat. And then can you let your spine lengthen out. If you're getting lower, try lifting up, lengthening out your spine, and then fold back in. And pull that right hip backward a little bit. So right, are kind of like shifting your hips out over to that right side. Can you square it off? So now, like both hip bones were pointing forward to the short edge of the mat. So not perfection, just awareness. All right, bending that right knee. Just let your left foot kick up into the air, and then the left foot come down next to your right foot. Heel toe. Walk your feet out towards the edges of your mat. Let your toes turn out and your heels turn in. So again, you're going to watch your knees here. If you need to stay up higher, just to let your hips bend, drop down a little bit, knees bending, hips drop down. If you can come all the way down into a squat, and then hands in prayer, pressing your upper arms, your elbows into that inner leg so the knees push out a bit. Good. All right, if you can walk your feet in a little closer. So I'm going to come back into a forward fold. I'm going to walk my feet in a little closer. Turning the heels in towards one another, toes out. I'm going to give you a couple options here. You can either just try to kind of come into a little bit of a squat, lifting your heels up, stretching your toes again and your feet, or you can try to come all the way down into that squat. So again, it's just really going to depend a lot on how your knees are and your lower back here. So just try to get a little more pressure onto those toes, and then see if you can let your heels drop down, stretching a little bit more through the lower leg. breathing that out. And then we're going to tip back into a forward fold. Take a breath in, forward fold. Bring hands to your low back. Interlace fingers. Pull hands up away from the body. And then gently come all the way back up. Reach arms up overhead. Hands touch. And bring them on down to the heart. Just notice, how are your feet feeling? How are your legs feeling? How's your back? And how's your breath? So as we're starting to shift this energy in our body, I'm gonna just start to, right, if it's working, right? Some days no matter what I do, things don't shift all that much. But if you're getting that sense of a little bit of relief, just enjoy that, observe it. So just like we're observing everything else, right? We want to have this awareness. Like, is this helping me? How am I feeling? So that we can come back to the things that we find beneficial, which again may be a little bit different every single day. All right, turning feet to the left. Bend in that left knee. So again, try to feel where your knee is. How is that knee feeling? Is there some little shift that you need to do of your heel or your toes in one direction or the other? Let your spine be long. Arms come on up, and then we're gonna let those shoulders drop down. So yeah, we can circle the hands here, moving the wrists around, turning those palms up, bringing the fingers in towards you, just flexing your hands up and down. And then turn the palms back down, lean it into extended side angle. Lengthen out from the hips. So again, we're going to try to turn away from the floor. You want that bottom hip to push a little bit forward, the top hip to pull back. Lengthening out through the side of the body. And then where's that right arm going to go? Do you want to keep it on the hand down on your hip? So again, if you're finding these spots that feel good, enjoy it, breathe. There may be a balance of things that feel good and things that feel hard here. All right, we're gonna turn down towards left toes. Let that right hand come down. So again, you're just finding your way on this side. If you have blocks, this is where you could use blocks. Next to one or both feet if you have two blocks. If you're okay with hands down, hands come down. We're gonna lengthen out over the leg. So again, maybe you're gonna turn that back foot, rotating the feet towards the left, rotating the toes towards that left foot. And then you can lift up. Again, if you're able to, if you have that room to lift. If things are tight, it's harder to lift up and fold back in. And then see if you can square off those hips again, pulling that left hip back, so visualizing that both hip bones are pointing towards the short edge of the mat. This leg is so tight. Right, so I'm not even able to lengthen as much on my back over this leg because it's so tight. We just want to go with it. Be kind to it. So if we start getting really aggressive with the things that are tight, they don't like it. They get angry. So if that leg's tight, just be kind to it. Breathe into it. Say nice things to that leg. I hope you feel better soon. Something like that. All right, and then we're going to try to bend to that left knee. Put your weight onto the left foot. Bring your right leg up. And then let your right foot come down. Pass to your left. We're going to walk those feet back out towards the edges of the mat. Heels in, toes out. Coming down into your squat, wherever that is. All right, I'm going to spin a little bit here. Let's see if we can twist this time. So, arms are down. If you're in this low squat and arms are down between your knees, bring that left arm in against the inner left leg. Bring your right arm out. And then we're changing sides. So right arm comes in against the inner right leg. We're going to twist a little bit to the left, extending that left arm out from the hip, from the shoulder. Oh my God, I don't have the right words today at all. Extend your left arm out from your left hip. All right, and then we're going to bring hands together. Let's see if we can walk those feet in a little closer. So come back into your forward fold. If that's your better place, hang out for a few breaths in forward fold. If you're going to come into this lower squat, bring your heels closer together so you can come up onto your toes, heels up. Trying to stretch out those feet again. And then you can let your heels drop down, getting a little deeper into lower leg. Beautiful. All right, and then straightening your legs. Take a breath in forward fold. Inhale all the way up, bring arms up overhead. Hands touch. Exhale them on down to the heart. Take a couple of breaths, shake out your legs. And then we're gonna see if we can do a dancer pose. So we're gonna try to get hold of either foot you wanna start with. So I'm starting with my right foot up. Let that right shoulder blade move backward. You can pull your heel in towards your hip and try to let that knee move out a little bit behind you, stretching out your quads. And then you can let that foot drift backward. So your shoulder blade comes back more. It's hard to talk and do dancer pose at the same time. So just keep breathing. And then if you're ready, let it go. Take a couple of good breaths. Circle shoulders. And then we're just changing sides. Coming on down, circle shoulders, shake out your legs, take a breath, and then line your feet up. Whoops. All right, lost my balance there after that dancer pose. So if you need a couple of breaths, right, if you're feeling that, like, okay, there's a lot of work on the nervous system, just take a couple of breaths, get your feet steady. So try to get level on the feet, so weight kind of centered on the feet. And then inhale your arms up overhead, exhale arms out to shoulder height. Start to fold from your hips, knees can bend here, hands come all the way down as far as they reach. Inhale into half lift, lift up, push your chest forward. Take a breath. Exhale, fold in. So we're just gonna step the right foot way back. Take the right foot back. And then bend in your left knee, let your right knee come down, coming into a low lunge. You can either have hands on the floor or above you. You can have both hands on the inside of the foot. Trying to stretch out the front of that back leg primarily. You may feel it in a lot of different places. And then we're going to curl those back toes under. We're going to bring that knee up. Step that foot forward. So line the feet up. We're going to come up into a chair pose. So knees are bent, hips are back, arms are up. And then extend arms out behind you, palms facing in towards one another, little fingers pointing up towards the ceiling. Breathing. And then we're going to let the hands come down. Just coming back to this forward fold here with the knees bent. And step your left foot way back. Left knee drops down. Lengthen out that left leg. Keep breathing. So hand placement might be different on this side than it was on the other side. So if you feel like you don't really have enough room, I find sometimes bringing hands both on that inside of that front foot can make it a little bit easier. All right. And then we're going to bring that back knee up. Step the front foot backward. you're okay in down dog, take a couple of breaths here in downward facing dog. And then let your knees come down. Push your hips back so you can sit in a child's pose. Let your head come down, maybe onto arms, maybe right onto your mat. And then we can try to bring the body over a little bit to the right side. If you can bring your right hand, so kind of sweep both hands over. Oh, sorry. Then see if you can bring your left hand and cross it over your right arm. And then we'll take it back to center and over to the other side. Just gently come back to center. And take a breath. And then we're going to walk it on over to the left side. And again, if you can bring your right hand and cross it over your left arm, like letting your wrists cross. And then let your hands come on back to center. Take a breath. And then we're going to make our way onto the belly so we can do a cobra pose. So if you want to do that as a vinyasa, shift back into down dog, come into plank, ease your way down. We're just going to do it from my hands and knees. I'm a little too far forward, so I'm going to walk my legs back. I'm going to let my thighs and my hips ease their way down. So I'm going to come all the way down and then rearrange where my hands are. So I'm going to pull my legs out behind me, get my back long, hands nice and flat below your shoulders. Start to pull your shoulders up towards the ceiling, so away from the floor, and then press into your hands. And then we're going to bring it back into child's pose. So you can do arms alongside your legs if that works for you. And then come on up into a seated position. Take a breath. All right, butterfly pose. Soles of the feet together. Push them a little bit forward. Round your back. Let your head come down. So again, if you have blocks, you can support your head in a butterfly and let your back and your hips stretch out. And then we're going to bring it back. We're going to come back up. And we're going to roll onto our backs. Just taking your time, coming on down. A couple of good breaths here. And then let your right ankle come and rest on top of your left thigh. If you're gonna let your legs can stay here. If your hips are really tight, you can even walk your left foot out farther. So you're just trying to find your own spot. Or you can let your legs drop over to the left side, letting that foot come down, or hang on to the back of your left leg with both hands. Work on softening the shoulders. So having a little something under your head. If the hips and the shoulders are tight and you're really getting, your shoulders are stressing out here and your head's getting tipped back and there's a lot of pressure on your neck, just just putting a pillow or a yoga block or something underneath your head, a rolled up blanket, towel, can let you relax a little bit more, which will help you release a little more tension out of the muscles. All right, and then we're gonna change sides. So just let that right leg stretch out. Maybe let's bring both legs up. And we're just gonna kick a little bit. And then left ankle on top of right thigh. So again, wherever you're going on this side, foot down, legs dropping to the side, or holding on to the back of the right leg. If you have one hip that's way tighter, so if this side is tighter, maybe you didn't need something under your head on the first side, but maybe you do on this side. So again, this observation, how am I here? This inquiry, curiosity about what's happening now. And then we're going to release the sides. Just both legs up. Maybe a little kicking, a little shaking. And then into a twist. Feet down, arms out about shoulder height. Let your knees drop over to the right side. Soften your abdomen. And back to center. You can just kind of hold those knees in. And then let your knees drop over to the left side. Come on back to center. So if you're doing happy baby here, you're pulling those knees in, then you're letting the knees drop out wide, reaching for your feet, so you can just keep your feet together here. Some days this is just like my preferred spot. It can feel really nice. Even if you want to shift it, you can take a few breaths with your feet here. And then maybe pull your feet apart. This is another one where a little something under the head can be helpful if you're having a hard time getting hold of your feet. Having this little elevation of the head starts to bring your shoulders up, which means that your hands can reach up a little bit more easily for your feet. And kind of bringing your hands to your feet. And let those feet come down, let your legs lengthen out along the floor. You can bring your arms past your head. And then just making yourself comfortable. Either legs straight or bring your feet on the floor, take them wide. Let your knees rest together, arms a little bit away from the body, palms up. Tuck your shoulder blades under. Take a nice big inhale into exhale. So we did that box breathing at the beginning. We did it 2 different ways. So we did inhaling to 6, holding for 2, exhaling to 4, holding for 2. So inhaling 6, exhaling 4, and then we reversed it. We did inhaling 4, exhaling 6 with those 2 count holds on both ends. So if one of those felt good, felt more comfortable than the other, you can choose one of those to help you just keep your mind focused in Shavasana. If you don't like the breathing practices, they're not your happy place, you can just begin to visualize yourself. Any place at all that feels comfortable, that feels safe. That feels relaxing. And maybe you're there with someone. So if you have a dog, maybe you're sitting on the beach, watching the sunset with your dog. Anything at all that's really soothing and calming. Visualize yourself there. Or again, you can do the breathing if that works well for you. Notice how you are in this moment. What are you feeling now? Physically, emotionally. Maybe start to move again a little bit. Any which way. Moving fingers, wrists. Maybe kicking your legs up a little bit. And then roll to one side. You can pause there. And then slowly make your way up to seated. Bring hands together at your heart. Nice full inhale. Exhale it out. Thank you for being here and sharing in this practice today. Namaste.